Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello, lovely. How are you doing? Now, today's episode is one close to my heart. I am talking to the time poor mother trying to run her business, having so many big dreams, knowing she has got potential, yet feeling frustrated because actually she's got so much to do that sometimes her business comes to the bottom of the list. Now, perhaps you are listening and maybe you have got that cold cup of coffee and you are like, oh my gosh, I don't even get chance to drink my coffee whilst it is hot, you know? And maybe you are filtering your way through all the, oh my gosh, ever coming emails from your children's school and preschool and all these places, planning a Halloween outfit and sorting out ready for the school book fair or whatever it may be. The list goes on. Now, if that is you right now, please know you are not alone. And please know that it is absolutely possible that whilst your life feels full, you can still build a great business. I am living proof of that, my dear. I am living proof. Now, the thing that I really, really want you to hear is motherhood comes in seasons. So how your life feels right now won't be forever. So in 6 months' time, you may feel like you have more freedom. And then in another 6 months' time, you may feel like things get full on again. My understanding of motherhood has been that actually it's not this kind of like, what's the word, decreasing load as your children get older. I believed that at one point. When my children were tiny, I kind of thought, oh, once they get a bit older and get more independent, like life will get so much easier. Like my experience has been that it's like peaks and troughs, you know? It comes in waves. And even as they get older and they go to school or they get more childcare or whatever it may be, there will be times within that where it feels full on. And I say that to you not to feel like really doom and gloom, but to give you a bit of realism in this, that actually getting yourself in good routines is going to serve you well for the next decade, the next couple of decades perhaps, because it doesn't, unfortunately, suddenly get so much easier, or certainly that has been my experience. So I'm going to talk to you today about ways that you can allow your life to feel more spacious, that you can allow your life to work around your business, so that even in times where actually, you know, the cold cup of coffees are just a regular occurrence and the tabs open on the laptop feel huge, feel in abundance, even during times like that, you can still make progress. Because let's talk about this straight. If you are a mother like me that needs her business to be successful so that you can be more present with your kids, it is going to need structure and routines to make sure that even during challenging times, progress can be made on your business. What's the blooming alternative? And this is what I always remind myself of. You know, there are times in my life, you know, regular times where I'm like, oh my gosh, like literally I shouldn't be working. You know, I should just be, and I say just in inverted commas, there's no just about it, but I'm like, I should be a stay-at-home mum with no form of self-employment, employment or anything, because I just can't cope. You know, of course I have moments like that. But then I remind myself that actually in a business or working, doing something that I love enhances my life wonderfully. And that absolutely ripples out to my kids too. And I also remind myself that, you know, we need money. We need money to put food on the table. And what's the alternative? I go get a 9 to 5 where I'm completely restricted and I'm, you know, up against everybody else's rules and routines. No. So I owe it to myself to build a life where even when I feel time short and run ragged, things can still continue in my business. You know? And I'm talking to you today 10 years, a decade into my business. So perhaps I'm a good few steps ahead of you. And maybe that's exactly why you do need to hear my advice today. And you need to hear that I get it. You know, I totally get it. I've got 4 children. My youngest is 6. My eldest is 12. And, you know, I was in that phase where, you know, at one point I had 3 kids under 3. It was crazy. And actually there are times in my life now, you know, 4 kids aged 6 to 12, where sometimes it feels even harder than those early days. I mean, you know, my experience might be really different to yours, but my children have got additional needs. They've got challenges, accessing school and the workload that comes with that, their meltdowns, their, you know, their challenges, like, is a whole stressful and time consuming thing. So I'm telling you that because I do sometimes hear people giving me advice about, you know, building a business that works around my life. And I listen and I think, and this sounds awful, but I think, yeah, but you don't get it because actually your life's piss easy. Sorry for swearing, guys. But yeah, I do. I think, yeah, but, you know, your life sounds actually like a walk in the park. You know, you've got so much more support than me. You've got, you know, what sounds like easy kids. You've got a lot less kids. All these things. And I think, actually, you know, advice that you're giving me might not work for my life. So I'm telling you the reality of my family's life so that you know that I know a few things about challenging family dynamics. I know a few things about motherhood being full on, you know? And I know you might be listening, even thinking, but Abby, mine's even worse. Like, you know, I know there's lots of people listening that are on their own with their children, you know, don't have a partner helping out, don't have even a co-parent. Like, your challenges may be huge. So I really hope that as you listen to this episode today, it helps you see how it can work, how you can make some little shifts to how you're working and how you're running your life to make this sustainable. So you're not just able to work when actually everything feels calm. That actually, even during chaos, you're able to make progress because you know long term you deserve it, your family deserves it, and actually long term it's going to make for an easier life. Okay. Quite frankly, I do not know how women with busy family lives do it when they have a 9 to 5. I don't know how they do it. Like, if you are listening and you work, you know, 9 to 5 and you've got lots of, you know, chaos in your home life, blimmin' hell, I want to give you an award, because I don't know how you do it. Like, I hear some of the mums on the school run, you know, that very rarely get to do the school run, and, you know, they're stressed about this, that, the other, and they're not getting home until 6 p.m. and they're then having to deal with all the stuff. So the reason I'm saying that is because for me, I'd rather this option, you know? I'd rather this self-employed life that I know gives so many benefits that actually working for someone else very rarely brings. Anyway, let's get to the juicy stuff, okay? So if you are that time-short mother building or running her business, and sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I want this episode to give you permission to do it your way. Your reality might look really different to my reality, to the woman down the road's reality, but what we can all do is we can think about how we can make life easier, more fun, more enjoyable, and ultimately more sustainable. Okay. Now, like I said, motherhood comes in seasons. So if you are in a season right now where it feels really chaotic, really hard, perhaps you've had a run of the kind of autumn, you know, bugs that go around and you've hardly had any sleep, remember the chaos won't last forever. And how you're feeling right now, as much as it might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to feel lighter, you will. You will. If you are also in this phase of your life where, you know, you feel very much full of the nappy changing, like strapping every child going into your car, again, like the chaos that feels like won't last forever. But I tell you what, like, oh, it breaks my heart saying this because I'm really feeling this right now. I even had a cry over tea with my husband last night. Like, that level of chaos, that level of like them being attached to you doesn't last forever, but neither does the magic that comes with that. And I don't know, I'm saying that and I'm shaking all over, like, yeah, I'm just feeling that so much right now. My youngest is 6, and don't get me wrong, there's so much magic. But that magic of when they are little, oh, I wish I could have it back, you know? And, you know, you might be thinking, have another baby, Abby. Blimey hell, I've got 4. I'm not sure I want 5. But yeah, I'm really feeling that right now. And I don't want to be that person that's like, suck it up, lovely. You know, it's magic. It doesn't always feel magic, but, you know, hindsight's a beautiful thing. Okay. So as you are in that like chaos, also remind yourself that there is some magic that comes with that chaos. So what I am saying is, don't feel bad that you are not being super productive. Don't feel bad that you are not achieving all the things that you possibly would like to achieve right now. There's always next year, yeah? And I'm not saying put the brakes on and don't do anything, but I'm saying, my goodness, if you are doing some things in your business, wow. Wow. You are keeping the wheels turning during this tricky season, and as a result, you're able to soak up the magic. You will never, ever regret that. You will never regret that. What do people say on their deathbed? They don't say like, oh my gosh, I wish I'd have achieved this goal, in 2025. They don't. They say, I wish I'd have spent time with those people that I really cared about. I wish I'd have had more time to do X, Y, Z, to spend that time with people I love. So again, I'm not saying, don't do anything, but I'm saying, like, also get things in perspective, that you might be in a season that won't last forever. And it has some positives. Perhaps the chaos won't last forever, but also the magic won't. So please, please remember that. So let's talk about then some clear ways that actually you can get more time even amongst the madness. So firstly, my lovely one, are you trying to do everything alone? Whether that's your home life, whether that's your working life. Are you being a bit of a martyr? Feeling like only you can do these things right, therefore you're just going to do them. And do you know what? I had a ridiculous example of this morning in my life, and it sounds so silly, but I was leaving to do the school run to take my eldest to her high school. So me and Harris were taking Imogen to school. It's like an hour round trip, and we have to set off before Adam sets off with the other two. And I just felt really stressed because I looked around the house and it felt like a pigsty. It felt gross. And I knew when I got home from the school run, I had literally like 2 hours to record some podcast episodes, be present in my community and all that before we were going out again to take Harris to this thing that he goes to. And I felt like, oh my gosh. But when I get home, I need to clean up. Because I can't deal with this house when it looks like that, and I can't possibly crack on with my work. And I said to Adam, I was like, did you not do the washing up before you went to bed? And I were a whole like nasty cow basically. And he said to me, and bless him, I mean, I shouldn't be saying bless him, why shouldn't he do this? But he was like, I'll do the vacuuming. I've got time to do it before I take the kids. And I was like, no, because you won't do it right. Genuinely meant that. Like, he won't do it right. He won't do it quite to my standard. So as a result, I was like, no, I'm going to do it. Now, I got home from the school run and he'd done the vacuuming. Bless him. He'd done the vacuuming, probably because he was a bit scared. But, like, all due credit, what a legend. Like, he had taken on, even though when I'd said, no, don't do it, you can't do it right. And, like, what a cow I am. But he'd done it. And, like, yeah. I looked and I was like, oh, he's missed this bit. Why didn't he pull the chairs out when he was vacuuming? But I resisted the urge to do it again. Yeah? Now, you might not be that anal with your vacuuming, whatever jobs you have like in your head that you need to get done. I've got a thing with bits on the floor. Cannot function if I've got bits on the floor. But what is your version of that where you're like, only I can do this right? So as a result, you are doing things that somebody else could do and would be willing to do, but you are being so controlling over it because you kind of feel like you are the only right person to do that. And it might be about the way you look after your children. It might be about things in your business even, you know? You might be at the stage in your business where you could get more paid help. Hire your virtual assistant that can answer some of your inbox messages or schedule some of your social media content. And you're like, yeah, but they might not do it exactly how I do it. So I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to grab hold of this and not get that help because they might not do it as well as me. Well, lovely one. Again, we've got to get comfortable allowing other people to do things to us. To us? We don't want to get comfortable with people doing stuff to us, unless it's in a good way. For us. Let's get comfortable allowing people to do things for us. And let's face it, it's blooming not for us. Like Adam doing the vacuum. He's not vacuuming this morning. He's not doing it for me. It's blooming his house, isn't it? It's his house as well, you know? Someone else, you know, your co-parent picking up the kids. They're not doing you a favour. It's their blooming kids, you know? But how often are we holding on to these things so tightly because we feel we can only do them the best? And again, maybe we're being a bit of a martyr with it. Holding on because, you know, we want to be Superwoman. We can't be. We're not Superwoman. So where in your life, where in your business can you let go of some things so other people can help you? And don't do an Abby. You know, my thing that I did badly, particularly in the early days of running a business, was just assuming people could read my mind, you know, and that my husband would be like, hey, darling, like, you go and work on your business for a bit tonight, you know? And I'd be like, the cheek of it, him not, you know, offering to, you know, let me go and do some work on my business. Well, he didn't know I needed that. He didn't know that actually a couple of hours, me going to a cafe to work on my business would be super useful. He can't read my mind, you know? And neither can the people in your life. So who could you ask? Who could you say, look, it'd be really useful if you could do X, Y, Z because I need to do blah, blah, blah. Yeah? So for me, a big thing that has always been super useful in my business is having some time where I go to a cafe, buy myself a nice coffee, and I work on my business for 2 hours. The amount of stuff I can get done in that 2 hours away from the distractions of my home is huge compared to if I just pop open my laptop. Sometimes takes some planning and some, you know, sorting out with other people. But it's not going to happen unless I make it happen. So who can help you? Who can you schedule things with to allow you that time? Now, we've just talked there about things that are going to help you work on your business. But maybe sometimes you just don't have the energy to work on your business because by the time you've come to working on your business, you've already put in 12 loads of washing. No, maybe that's an exaggeration. Two loads of washing. You've replied to 6 emails. You've sorted, the uniforms, whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have just got no energy. Well, what of those tasks could you let go of so that actually you have got the energy to work on your business? Okay. Getting help is not a blooming weakness, It's actually a real strength, and you are demonstrating to your children that actually they can't do everything as well. Do you want, and I mean, this is something that I feel very passionate about. Like, I don't want my daughters, and let's face it, this is often a female issue, isn't it? That, so many of us as women take on so much, And don't get me wrong, there's probably some men that are deeply overwhelmed with life as well, and parenthood and all this. But I do think overwhelmingly a lot of the stuff falls on us as women, and it's that invisible mental load. Well, what am I demonstrating to my daughters if I just suck it all up and try and do everything? I'm not demonstrating to my daughters that you can be superhuman. I'm basically saying, well, what do kids do? They don't do what we say, they do what we do. I don't want my daughters being burnt out, when they're older. I don't want them feeling like they never have space to do something for themselves or be able to build incredible businesses or, do incredible things in their life, because actually they're so burnt out with other stuff because they daren't give it to somebody else or ask for help, So yeah, we're not just doing it for us, we're doing it for those little eyes that are watching, So, yes, you can absolutely let go of things. So take this opportunity to think, what can I let go of in my life? What can I outsource to other people? Okay. Now, I've said before that one of the first and best investments I ever made in my business was getting a cleaner at home once a week. And it was not a business expense, it was a home expense. But her coming every Monday for a couple of hours, cleaning the bathrooms, doing a better job than I can do, doing it so much quicker than I can do, meant that actually I was saving time in my week. Now, I'm not saying, as you've heard from my story earlier, it stops me from doing a vacuum. Of course it doesn't. But actually, offloading some big jobs to someone else and paying them for it frees up space for me to be able to do other things. Could you do something similar in your life? And I'm not saying it has to be a cleaner, but there's so many other things in life that we just don't give to anybody else. What could you do? Are you also skipping the blooming shortcuts? I have a lot of bad things to say about technology. It's deeply overwhelming, isn't it, sometimes? And I do think the rise of technology has sometimes added to our overwhelm, particularly as mothers. I'm always saying to mums on the school run, God, did our mums back in the day have as much life and school admin as we have now? Now they have, dojo and blooming ways of contacting us at all hours. No, I really don't believe that. So technology has added this whole new layer of pressure. However, technology has brought potentially so many shortcuts into our lives. Are you using those shortcuts? So in terms of your business, are you refusing to use Canva templates? Because you're like, oh, but actually, I really want to, add my own branding and make it look so much more like what I'd produce. And as a result, you're spending so much more time when actually you could use something that's already there, created for you. Are you spending hours manually posting on social media when you could be sitting down and scheduling it? And you could be repeating that same content every blooming 3 months so that you're not having to think of fresh stuff all the time. Stop skipping the shortcuts and make life easier. Stop redoing things from scratch when actually you've got a perfectly good version of that actually you used a year ago and you could reuse. Shortcuts are not cheating. By using shortcuts, you are creating space to do the things that matter. That is super important and super powerful. So stop skipping the shortcuts. Now, in your personal life, what might that look like? Well, it might be looking like, avoiding using online grocery deliveries, and repeating the same list over and over again. Instead, you're starting that list from scratch because you feel like you need to be in the moment, when actually that shopping list that you bought a fortnight ago is going to be so important to this week too. Stop skipping the shortcuts. Now, there are so many systems that you can use to help that. Like we've just talked about when you're doing online shopping for your family. But in your business, that might be utilising AI more. AI, as much as it can strip your business of your own tone, your own connection, it can also be a great assistant. It can be a great brainstorming partner. Stop making yourself do more work by avoiding using these things that can absolutely help you. And finally, make sure you do carve out time to work on your business. So even if your life feels very full on, you're never going to get round to working on your business if you just wait for the inspiration to strike. But if actually you make it part of your weekly routine to spend your Tuesday evening working on your business, it's going to happen regardless of what else is going on. Yeah? But if you just kind of sit there and think, when I get a quiet moment, I'll work on that website. I'll do this social media stuff, or I'll connect with those people that were interested in doing my courses. Whereas if in your diary you have got that you work on your business at this certain time, it's gonna happen. I hear so many people say, I can't wait to get to a stage in my business where I've got a group course running every Saturday morning. Yeah? And I think to myself, well, you're gonna get there so much quicker if you already schedule Saturday morning as your work time. You're going to use that Saturday morning to get to that stage. Yeah? So if you want a booking on a Saturday morning, if you want a group course on a Saturday morning, blank that morning out in your diary already. And in that time, do the things that are going to get you to your goal. And you're going to get there so much quicker. So I really hope this episode is exactly what you have been needed this week. And I hope it's been that gentle but firm way of saying, my lovely, life happens. And even when life is chaotic, you can still make progress in your business. You deserve it, your clients deserve it, your family deserves it. Now, whilst you're thinking about all these things, remember that you are your heart of your business. You are the heart of your home. There are things in your family that, you can only do. And actually, if we outsource the other stuff, we get that space to do the things that are priceless, that are the things that only you can do. That love, that support that we give our children, when you free up the other stuff, you get more time for that. So, as always, have a fabulous week, lovely one, and keep on changing lives. Take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.